charge. He sits on a throne. And great authority. He is represented by the logo of the United Nations as the one who is going to have total power over all the earth. There is even a part of the United Nations called the North Star Alliance. It's actually part of the United Nations World Food Program. Remember, Ben-Hadad and his 32 kings are telling everybody, all your silver and gold's mine, all your women are mine, and all your children are mine. I own everything. And what do we see the United Nations doing? The United Nations is spreading its tentacles around the world in order to gain control of the earth's food sources. Because if you listen to this is pretty slick. If you can control the food, you control the people. You see where I'm going? By the way, my old boss used to have, he was a wise man. He used to say, Hoggard, you know what the golden rule is? Well, we both knew what the Bible version of it was. And I said, what? He said, whoever has the gold rules. And I went, oh. See how it works? If you own the wealth, if you own the oil, if you own the food, if you own the land. In this country, see, America, we're landowners. Okay? We believe that God gives man the blessing of private property ownership. That's a blessing from God. When God sent Israel into the land, He said, you put your feet on that land, it's yours. They spent years surveying out the land of Israel and giving it to the tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim and Gad and Naphtali and Issachar and all these other tribes of Israel. And they owned that land, and God gave them that land. And they didn't even have a king to rule over them, to tell them what they could and could not do with that land. God said, it's your land. It is your land. Do what you want with it. They were smart. They would raise crops and take care of that land so they could feed their family and keep doing that for perpetual generations. The United Nations comes along into America and says, it's not really your land anymore. We have designated this, we took a magic wand and went, and we have designated this land as a United Nations biosphere. Because we found there's a little worm on a tree on your farm that's in danger. And if you do something like plow your field, you're going to endanger the habitat of that little worm. And that little worm was crying when we went by. He was so sad. So we're going to take your land. Oh, you can keep the deed. We don't need it. We're just going to draw a map that says we have jurisdiction over this and you can't do anything that we don't tell you to do. See, then it's not your land anymore. See how it works? They had part of this program was the North Star Alliance. Okay? Now, let's look at this logo, the United Nations logo. Take a look at it. And I want to show you this. This is what adorns most maps in the world. This goes all the way back to the 1500s. A guy started putting this on maps as a legend. It's called a compass rose. And I want you to notice it has the same look here. You have the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. They are sort of divided up again, and then they're divided up again. So in a compass rose, a real compass rose, what you will have is that you will have 32 sections that are surrounding the center point of the compass rose. Okay, now and remember, we learned this from our talk on the Da Vinci Code. Dan Brown talks about in the Da Vinci Code that the rose is a symbol for, like, the female, the Mystery Babylon or whatever. The rose is a symbol for secrecy. Anything that was said sub rosa or under the rose was done in secret. You go to Roseline Chapel, the Rosalind Chapel in Scotland, and there's roses all on the ceiling, which means that there's secrets here about this building that we don't want anybody to know about. So the compass rose denotes a secret of some kind that they are keeping. And I want you to notice on this compass rose, and you can find many, many illustrations of this same thing. This compass rose almost always on magnetic north is a certain symbol. It's called the fleur de lis, or the lily flower. It's a French term. The Merovingian kings used this symbol almost exclusively. It was a symbol of their domination and a symbol of their power. The Merovingian kings supposedly were the offspring of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Not true. The real myth about the beginnings of the Merovingian kings was that a sea creature, a beast, had it with a human woman and created a baby. And from that baby came all of these kings who had all these divine rights. The divine right of kings, that idea comes from this idea that they're actually like half gods. Remember what the laurel represented. It was the fusion of opposites, the generative powers coming together to produce this particular king, sons of God, daughters of men. And you can kind of see that. And I want you to look at the symbol here. You have three things pointing straight up, and they are larger than the three things pointing down, but they're banded together. It denotes sons of God, daughters of men. You actually have you have three on top and three on bottom. If you were to draw that out, you would see the number 33. So the fleur de lis is just simply another symbol of this particular number, the number 33. It is the beast and all of his nations gathered together. That's what the Jesuit powers are all about. Gathering together. There's going to be one world government. There's going to be one religious institution, and the Vatican has vowed to be at the head of this thing. Okay? You mark it down. But going back to this fleur de lis, that's what it represents. This fleur de lis represents the symbol or the power of the Antichrist that is to come. Dan Brown talked about the Priory of Zion. Now everybody says, see, the Priory of Zion, it never happened. It never was real. I think that there has always been a society of men, whether they were called the Priory of Zion or other things, that have maintained a well-kept secret throughout the years. And that secret has everything to do with the rise of the Antichrist in the last days. But the symbol of the Priory of Zion was the fleur de lis, the exact same symbol that you see on a compass rose. And oh, look at the bottom. Look at what it says. In hoc signo vinces. What does it mean? In this sign conquer. And so the compass rose puts this symbol where? On the north. This symbol, the fleur de lis, is related to, this is in Eliphas Levi's book about magic. Notice, oh, well, you know, that looks like the Star of David. It's called the Seal of Solomon. Notice you have three pointing up. You have a triangle pointing up, a triangle pointed down. Notice that one is white, one is black. It represents the polar opposites fused together to create. Here it is. Here's a term you'll understand. The United Nations is all about making men equal. The two poles fusing together to make the equator, or to make things equal, to make everybody into one, with one king ruling over them. That's what all these symbols represent. Now, we're going to leave you hanging right here this week in this episode. We have a lot more to show you. In the second part of this teaching, I promise you will want to see and understand. A great sacrifice is going to take place in the north. What does that have to do with us? What does that have to do with Jesus Christ? You'll see. We'll pick this up on the next Watchman broadcast. It'll be part 2. The secret of the United Nations. This is Pastor Mike. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.